Lucas Dynamo restoration for the Square Four Ariel part 2. Since the last video, mentioned I broke a little stud off on that end plate for the dynamo, or generator as I prefer to call it. So I had to find some BA cheese-head screws and the smallest tap that I've ever used, 5BA. So it's taken Australia Post 2 weeks to send these things about 23 kilometres. So in the meantime, what have I been doing? Working mainly. As I said in the previous video, I don't have the proper tools to test these. Used everything in the day called a growler that you tested armatures with, check the magnetism and continuity. So pretty much I've just gone around the commutator segments with an ohm meter, check for continuity. It all seems good, nothing broken. In the perfect world, I'll probably be changing the field windings, because face it, they're 60 years old and they're probably rooted, but it's not the perfect world. I won't be crossing the nullarbor on this bike, so I'm sure I'll live to regret that decision, but for now we'll leave the old ones in. So today I'm going to drill a new hole, tap it, so I can put that ground wire on and put this thing back together. That's my tapping hole done. Now I've just got to put some thread in it. We're a lot happier with a little T-handle tap holder, but I don't have one that small. But we're going in straight, that's good. And so 2 weeks, about 5 minutes later, we have a new thread. A little bit more lube. You can't have too much lube. Right, so we've drilled and tapped our little hole. The ground wire to go into. I've put the other brush in because I've got my screw now. Old trick from way back, and hopefully you can see that. In fact, I might even retake this one. Don't put the brushes right in, because then you have to kind of leverage them when you're fitting them over the armature, and you can chip the carbon off them. It's a lot easier just to hold the brushes out a little bit and have them sitting there with the brush spring. Then when you put the armature in, you just pop them down and they'll slip on without causing any damage. So now we have to connect the field windings and the ground wire. Field winding will go into that one, so then we'll have the two wires going off to the regulator. From that we have the field F and D, field and dynamo, which we won't be able to hook up until we get the wiring loom in and back on the bike, but we can get ready to go. So we'll just put those on and we'll come back in a moment. Right, we've got the back end in, we've got the field windings connected, I was able to get that little ground wire connected. So now you just need to put the end plate on, got the seal on there, it's a little bit of rubber grease. New bearings. So there's a little dowel over here, a little line up hole here. That is the drive for the distributor, because essentially, like a car motor, pretty much is an old car motor. They are done. That turns freely, the armature, which is great. We can now drop the brushes down onto the commutator, and that it's just a matter of going like that, pink, and the other side, tink, and that is done. I'll put the end cap on now just to complete the operation. I'll just make sure that all the wires are out of the road, there's nothing touching, and I can see that you won't be able to see it, but I can see the field wire is just touching the armature, so I'll knock them out of the way. I'll put on the bearing retainer to hold him in. The only other job I need to do is to polarise the generator. What this does, it tells the regulator whether it's positive or negative earth. Because this is a positive earth bike, how we do that, we run a jumper between the field and the dynamo connectors here, just a little jumper wire. We get a 6-volt power supply, and the reason I'm not doing this now is because I don't have one handy. So we put the negative with the 6-volt power supply onto the jumper on there, and we touch the earth with the positive, and that will cause the generator to turn into an electric motor, and that will spin. And that will tell me two things: one, that I've built it correctly and it's working, and two, that I've set it up to be positive earth. If you wanted negative earth, you'd do the opposite way around. You'd put the positive on the jumper, you'd ground out the negative, it would still spin, and off we go. It's even got a little arrow on there to tell me which way it needs to spin. And that is pretty much it. Gear goes back on. I'll put the cover back on just to keep it nice and tidy until we're ready to use it. So that in a nutshell is overhauling the Ariel Square 4 Lucas Dynamo or generator, depending on which part of the world you come from.